Sherleaf by J. Pilgrim. Chapter 4. The Breaking Point. Kate stepped off the plane at Wellington Airport, the familiar chill in the air wrapping around her like a suffocating shroud. The sense of hope she had clung to in Auckland was already fading, replaced by the oppressive weight of reality. She gripped the handle of her small suitcase tightly, her stomach twisting as she thought about the conversation she was about to have with Bob. Would he explode? Would he dismiss her, as he always did? Or worse, would he make her feel like a fool for even thinking she had another option? The taxi ride home was silent, the city lights blurring past the window as she rehearsed the words in her mind. I have a chance to transfer to Auckland. A better job, better pay, a fresh start for Mary. Would he even care? The moment she stepped through the door of their council flat, the stench of stale beer and cigarette smoke hit her like a wall. Bob was slouched on the couch, an empty bottle resting on the floor beside him, the television blaring some late-night sports show. Mary was nowhere in sight, probably hiding in her room, avoiding another night of her father's temper. Bob barely looked at her as she dropped her suitcase by the door. "You're back," he muttered, his eyes fixed on the screen. Kate inhaled deeply, forcing herself to stay calm. "Bob, we need to talk." Bob snorted. "Do we? Didn't seem like you had much to say when you buggered off to Auckland." She ignored the jab and stepped closer. "I got an offer. A transfer to the Auckland branch. Better pay, better conditions. It's a fresh start, Bob. We can move." That got his attention. His head snapped toward her, his bloodshot eyes narrowing. "Move? You think I'm packing up my life because you got a damn job offer?" Kate stiffened. "There's nothing here for us, Bob. You don't work. We barely scrape by. Mary deserves better." Bob let out a low, bitter laugh. "Oh, I see. So now you're better than me? You think you can just make decisions without me?" Kate's hands curled into fists at her sides. "I'm not asking, Bob. I need this. Mary needs this. We can't stay here." His expression darkened, and in an instant he was on his feet, towering over her. "You ungrateful cow," he spat, his voice thick with anger. "You think you can just run off and take the kid with you? Like hell you will." Kate flinched as his hand clenched into a fist by his side. He didn't strike her, but the air between them crackled with unspoken violence. "You don't care about Mary," she whispered, her voice shaking. "You never have." Bob's nostrils flared. "She's my daughter." "You don't get to decide," Kate shot back, her voice rising. "She's terrified of you. She hides in her room because she's scared of what you'll do next, and I am done letting her live like this." His hand shot out, gripping her arm tightly. Not hard enough to bruise yet, but enough to make her breath hitch. "You and her are not going anywhere." Kate met his gaze, her fear battling against the fire rising inside her. "Watch me." A heavy silence fell between them, the only sound the murmur of the television in the background. Bob released her with a sharp shove, muttering a string of curses under his breath before slumping back onto the couch. He grabbed another beer from the floor and took a long swig, his expression unreadable. "You think you're leaving?" He mumbled, eyes on the screen. "Go ahead." "But you're not taking her." Kate stood there, chest heaving, her skin burning where he had touched her. The fight wasn't over, not by a long shot. But she knew one thing for sure. She wasn't staying. The last straw. Kate drifted through her days in a haze of frustration and despair. The weight of Steve's offer pressed against her mind constantly, tempting her with the promise of freedom. Could she really leave? Could she break away from Bob's grip, from this cycle of fear and misery? Every night, she replayed their argument in her head, envisioning a different outcome, one where she had the strength to walk away. But reality was cruel. Bob still loomed over her life, an anchor dragging her deeper into the abyss. Then the weekend came, and with it, the last straw. Bob stumbled through the front door late on Saturday night, his clothes reeking of alcohol and cigarettes. Kate sat rigid at the small kitchen table, her fingers clenched around the edge. Mary had already retreated to her room, instinctively sensing trouble. Bob's eyes were wild, his face flushed with fury. "Lost again," he slurred, kicking the door shut behind him. "Bloody rigged, I tell ya. I had that bet in the bag." Kate inhaled sharply. "You wasted more money?" "Bob, we barely have enough for food," he sneered. "Oh, here we go. The nagging starts. Always on me, aren't ya? Like you're some saint." "We need that money, Bob," she pressed, trying to keep her voice even. Bob's face twisted with rage. "You think you're better than me? Running off to Auckland, leaving me with the kid?" Kate barely had time to brace before he lashed out, knocking a plate off the table with a violent swipe of his hand. The crash made her flinch. She heard a whimper from Mary's room, but the door remained shut. Her daughter had learned to stay hidden. "You don't care about us," Kate whispered, standing up. "You only care about yourself." Bob took a menacing step forward, his fists clenched. "You shut your mouth before you what?" Kate cut in, her voice shaking but defiant. "You gonna hit me, Bob? Go ahead. But it won't change a damn thing." Bob hesitated. His lip curled in frustration, but he said nothing. Instead, he grabbed another beer from the fridge and stormed into the living room, collapsing onto the couch. The fight was over for now. Kate stood there, her heart pounding. This was it. She couldn't stay. Not another day. The phone call, Sunday. The next morning, Kate stood outside the council flat, her hands trembling as she dialed Steve's number. The crisp Wellington air did little to calm her nerves. "Kate?" Steve answered after the second ring, his voice warm but cautious. "Everything okay?" She swallowed hard. "Steve, I need to take your offer." "The transfer." "I can't stay here anymore." There was a beat of silence. "Then, I'm glad to hear that, Kate. We'll start sorting out the paperwork immediately." Relief flooded her chest. Thank you so much." But then Steve hesitated. "Kate, there's something we need to talk about first." Her breath hitched. "What is it?" Steve sighed. "I need to be honest with you. I can offer you a place to stay temporarily, but I can't take in a child. I don't have the space or the kind of home that is child-friendly." Kate's blood ran cold. "What?" she whispered, her stomach knotting. "I thought you'd be coming alone," Steve continued gently. "You said Mary was 10. Kate, I just don't think I can accommodate her. Maybe your daughter can join you at a later date." Her mind reeled. She had planned everything around taking Mary with her, around giving her daughter a fresh start. But now, that door had slammed shut in her face. "Kate, are you still there?" Steve asked cautiously. She forced herself to breathe. "Yeah, I'm here. Look, if you need to figure things out, I understand," Steve added. "But I can't change this condition." Kate closed her eyes. She had no options left. If she turned this down, she was sentencing herself and Mary to more nights of fear. But if she left now alone, she could get settled, earn money, and come back for her daughter. She felt sick at the thought. "I'll take it," she whispered, the words burning her throat. Steve exhaled. "Are you sure?" "Yeah," she lied. "I just need some time to work things out." "All right. We'll get everything moving this week," he assured her. "You're making the right choice, Kate." She hung up, staring blankly at the cracked pavement beneath her feet. Right choice. Then why did it feel like she was breaking apart? Seeking help. Monday. Kate's hands trembled as she led Mary through the heavy glass doors of the Oranga Tamariki Ministry for Children office. The fluorescent lighting inside was stark and cold, a contrast to the humid weight of her emotions pressing down on her chest. She had exhausted every other option. There was no one to turn to, no safe place for Mary while she found her footing in Auckland. This was the only way. A receptionist, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes but a weary expression, looked up as they approached. "Kia ora, how can we help you today?" Kate's throat was dry. She swallowed hard and forced the words out. I need help. I don't have anywhere safe for my daughter to stay right now." The woman's expression softened. "Okay, let's sit down and talk about that." She gestured toward a seating area where Kate and Mary sank into the firm plastic chairs. A few minutes later, a social worker named Tricia arrived. She was a Pakaha woman in her 40s, dressed in a simple navy blouse, her demeanor calm but professional. "Kate, Mary, I understand you're in a difficult situation. Can you tell me more about what's happening?" Kate exhaled shakily. "I'm transferring to Auckland for work, but I have nowhere for Mary to stay right now. Her father," she hesitated, glancing at Mary, "it's not safe for her to stay with him. I just need some time to get settled and find a home. Then I'll come back for her." Tricia nodded, her gaze flickering between mother and daughter. "Kate, I know this isn't an easy decision. We need to assess what's best for Mary. We can place her in short-term care, but we need to be sure it's the right step." Mary clutched Kate's arm tightly. "Mom, I don't want to stay here. Please don't leave me." Kate's heart shattered. She cupped her daughter's face gently, forcing herself to stay strong. "Sweetheart, this is only for a little while. I promise I will come back for you. I just need to get things ready in Auckland so we can start fresh. I need you to be brave for me." Tears welled in Mary's eyes. "What if you don't come back?" Kate's own tears threatened to spill over, but she forced a reassuring smile. "I will. I would never leave you behind." "You're my whole world, Mary. This is just for now." Tricia watched them quietly before speaking. "Mary, we'll make sure you're safe. You'll be placed in temporary care with someone who can look after you properly until your mom is ready. We'll stay in contact, and your mom will have updates. You won't be alone." Kate squeezed Mary's hands, willing herself not to break down. "You're going to be okay, love. This isn't forever. Just until I can give you the home you deserve." Mary wiped at her eyes but nodded reluctantly. "Okay," Tricia stood. "Kate, I'll need to take some information, and we'll set up a plan for Mary's care." Kate nodded numbly, feeling the crushing weight of what she was doing. Every instinct screamed at her to grab Mary and run, but she knew she couldn't. She had to do this, for both of them. As Tricia led Mary toward another office to meet with a caregiver, Kate watched her daughter disappear down the hall, feeling like a part of herself was being ripped away. She had to leave, but she would come back. She had to. The departure. Tuesday morning arrived with a stillness that felt unnatural. The council flat, usually filled with Bob's grumbling and the clinking of beer bottles, was silent. The air was thick with the stale remnants of last night's alcohol binge. Even the television, which he often left on overnight, had flickered off, leaving only an oppressive quiet. Bob stirred on the couch, his head pounding, a foul taste coating his mouth. His limbs felt leaden, his body sluggish with the weight of a hangover. He groaned, rubbing his temples before glancing toward the bedroom door. He expected to hear Kate bustling around, the clatter of dishes, the soft hum of the kettle. But there was nothing. No sounds of Mary getting ready for school. No quiet muttering from the kitchen. Frowning, he sat up, blinking blearily at the empty kitchen space. The room felt colder, emptier. A strange sense of unease crawled up his spine. He staggered toward the bedroom, pushing the door open. The wardrobe was half empty. The drawers were half open, her things gone. The bed was cold and unkempt. Kate's suitcase was gone. His breathing quickened. His mind, still clouded with alcohol, struggled to process what he was seeing. He turned on his heel, stumbling toward Mary's door, pushing it open roughly. Mary was gone. Kate was gone. Bob stumbled back into the living room, heart pounding, the reality settling in like a brick to the chest. She had really done it. She had left him. "Stupid woman," he muttered, rage bubbling beneath his skin. "She thinks she can just walk out on me?" But deep down, something twisted in his gut, something he refused to acknowledge as fear. The spiral downward. Days passed, then weeks. The flat grew filthier, reeking of stale beer, cigarette smoke, and unwashed dishes. Bob stopped caring about anything. Cleaning up, food, even basic hygiene. The only thing that mattered was numbing the gnawing emptiness inside him. At times of stupor, he thought he caught glimpses of Mary moving around the flat like a ghost, her presence a quiet reminder of everything he had lost. It began to dawn on Bob why Mary avoided him, retreating to her room for hours at a time. Sometimes, Bob would awaken from sleep to expect them to be back in their beds, but only disappointment met him, making his eyes mist over. Bob made his own meals, small portions of bread and peanut butter, the only things left in the cupboards. He spent his days at the TAB, sinking every last welfare dollar into desperate bets. Each loss sent him deeper into his own misery. He drank more. He lashed out at the walls, at the empty rooms that mocked him with their silence. The bills piled up. Notices were shoved under the door. Electricity overdue, rent unpaid. He knew things were getting worse, but he lacked the will to care. One afternoon, in a rare moment of focus, Bob stumbled out of the flat and made his way to Kate's old office. Kate had changed her cell phone number. He needed to find her, needed to talk to her. He pushed through the glass doors, the fluorescent lights making his headache worse. A young receptionist looked up from her computer, eyeing him with mild curiosity. "I need to speak to Kate Chambers. I am her husband." "I need her number," Bob demanded, his voice thick with desperation. The receptionist eyed him warily. "She didn't leave a contact." Bob's fists clenched. "You must have some sort of contact." The receptionist's lips pressed into a thin line. "Sir, I can't help you. I don't have her contact details." "Maybe contact the Auckland branch." Bob knew there was no point arguing. He turned and stormed out of the office, his pulse hammering in his ears. He was most annoyed that Kate had truly severed all ties. He had no way to reach her except to call the Auckland branch. She was gone. By the second week, even the regulars at the bar began avoiding him. He was no longer just a drunk, he was a wreck, a man spiraling towards something dark and irreversible. And worst of all, he had no one left to blame but himself. Be sure to watch the next chapter in this ongoing saga. The next episode is a game changer. Remember to click the notification bell so you will be alerted to the release of the next fiction story. See you there.